What should I make a video about today? How about the Grumbles? Nah, I've exhausted all of the lore out of them. What about Snare and the garden subfloor? Nah, I think I've talked about them enough already. What about— No! Who even put this as an option? Okay, I know. Let's talk about the Courtyard statue. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Doors Update News, or should I say Doors Update Theory. You see, this video is going to be based on a lot more theorizing and speculation about what is to come rather than going over actual news coming to the game, but it should still be just as entertaining. You see, when Floor 2 released, the Courtyard received a massive overhaul, and part of this revamp was the introduction of the new Courtyard statue. However, this statue is very unique, as it can actually split open down the middle, revealing a hidden passageway. Now, currently, there's no way to actually open the statue in-game, probably because the passage underneath it isn't even finished. But I think I figured out how you would be able to open it and what exactly will be in the room underneath it when it does get released, which I think will be soon. And in this video, I'll be telling you everything you need to know. So with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so we've got a lot to cover in this video, so let's get started right away. We will first discuss what exactly could be underneath the statue. Now, as many of you probably know, there's a ton of evidence pointing towards a new garden-themed subfloor being added in one of the next updates, and with this there are two theorized locations for where the entrance of the subfloor could possibly be located. On one hand, we have the passageway underneath the Courtyard statue, and on the other hand, we have the room behind the giant locked door in the greenhouse. Now, the reason why both of these are considered as potential locations for the subfloor's entrance is because both are located in plant-themed areas, which is what the subfloor is also themed around, and both are unfinished pieces of content. So with that being said, how do we know which is the true location of the entrance? After all, there can only be one correct answer, so which is it? Well, after reviewing all of the information, I've deduced that it is most likely the big door in the greenhouse. You see, not only is the unfinished room behind the big door the perfect location for the subfloor's entrance, as the door at the end of this hallway can be reworked into it, but the Courtyard statue is implied to be a very important aspect of this game story-wise. And I don't think the entrance to the subfloor, which doesn't really seem directly related to the statue at all, would be underneath it. So if the Courtyard statue isn't used to access the new subfloor, what would it be used for? Well, actually I think it would lead to some type of lore room. As I had stated, the statue itself seems to be heavily intertwined with the game's story, so I believe that whatever is hiding below it will be too. Perhaps it would be some secret room which reveals something major about the architects or something like that. Now, I know this may come as a disappointment for those who aren't really invested in the game's lore, but I do see this as being a very likely outcome. Okay, so with that out of the way, how exactly would we open up this statue? Well, there are two key components which I think could come into play here, with the first being the Courtyard basement. Essentially, in the Courtyard you can find a strange basement-like room hiding underneath a vine-covered cellar door, and upon accessing this room, you would be able to collect varying amounts of gold. However, something interesting about this room is that the developers confirmed, or at least implied, it would be receiving a larger role in the future. So seeing how both this basement and the statue both appear in the Courtyard, I don't think it would be too outlandish to assume they are connected in some way. Given the current design of the Courtyard basement, I believe that when this future use does get implemented, there would be a way to access the doors behind the locked gate, and within would be some kind of thing, for lack of a better word, which counts as a step to opening the statue. It could be some type of puzzle or maybe just a lever, who knows. I just think it's likely for this area to be related to the statue. Moving on though, the second component which I think could come into play is the Moonlight Candle, weirdly enough. Now, ever since this item was added in the Floor 2 update, it always raised my suspicions. Not only is it entirely themed around Guiding Light, a very lore-important character, but the way of obtaining it is also very unique, as you essentially have to put a normal candle in your rift in order for it to be converted into this one. Now, although it is possible that this could just be a normal, yet powerful item, I believe the previous points mentioned screams that this item is going to have some ulterior functionality, and I believe it could play a role into opening the Courtyard statue. After all, it would make sense for an item related to a lore-important character to open a lore-related statue, kind of like how the skeleton key is needed to access the runes. Additionally, this would also add a unique challenge for accessing the passageway under the statue, as you would essentially have to complete the game twice, once to obtain the moonlight candle by placing a normal candle in your rift, and a second time to bring it all the way back to the courtyard. I could imagine you would need to place the item on the pedestal in front of the statue in order to open it up, after doing some puzzle in the courtyard basement or something like that. I know this is all mostly speculation, but it definitely could work. Now, in true update news fashion, I guess I should actually talk about how this relates to the upcoming updates. Essentially, given how a room was even built behind the Room 99 door, and how the hole for the entrance of the passageway is already present under the courtyard statue, I think it's possible that the true functionality of both these areas will be revealed in the next updates, maybe even in the very next one coming later this month. After all, the process of making whatever these will lead to has already started, so it's possible good progress is being made on them or they are completely finished. Still, all we can do right now is speculate based on the very little information we have to go off of so far, but I believe that this theory is a good starting point for what may come in the future. So, to summarize, I believe instead of being the entrance to the garden subfloor, the courtyard statue would reveal the passageway to some type of important lore-related room, and the method of accessing the statue would involve doing some shenanigans in the courtyard basement as well as the moonlight candle. Either way, it's likely the true answers to what is hiding in the statue will be answered in one of the next updates, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So, with all of that being said, let me know in the comments what your theories are about the courtyard statue, and thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.